Yo, my name is Sebastian Savela. So one of the most important things you need to do before you buy an investment property is run the numbers. So you need to have a good idea of what kind of returns you're gonna get before you make an offer. And then you can determine if these returns are in line with your goals. If you've been watching my videos, then you know that I'll be buying my first investment property this year, and it's going to be a house hack. So meaning that I'll be buying a 2 to 4 unit property and I'm gonna be living in one of the units and rent out the other ones. So I'm already paying for rent, so why not buy a house instead and have other people help me pay for that portion of my bills? House hacking will help me achieve two of my goals. So first, I'll be buying an asset that should be going up in value over time. And then second, I'll be reducing my living expenses, which will help me increase my savings rate, and that will help speed up how fast I could buy more properties. So if that's something you're also interested in, you should keep watching because I'm gonna be going over how I analyze potential deals. There are four crucial numbers I look at, and that's cash flow, cash on cash return, cap rate, and debt coverage ratio. So I'll quickly go over these to explain what they are, and then I'll give an example. The cash flow is the profit that you make after paying all your operating expenses, your mortgage, and any improvements you make to the property. So I want to know how much money is either going in or out of my pockets at the end of the year. The cash on cash return is a rate of return that tells me the profit earned on the cash I invest. So it's the ROI, or the return on investment. So a 10% cash on cash return tells me that I'm making 10% interest every year on the money that I actually put in, or the money that I actually spend. I could also use that number to compare to other returns from other type of investments. Now, the cap rate compares the net operating income of a property to its perceived value, and that income doesn't include any mortgage or any money you spend on making any improvements. So it makes it easy for investors to compare the price they pay for the income to what other investors are paying for similar properties with similar income. So the cap rate kind of gives you a good idea of if you're paying too much or not for a property. And finally, the debt coverage ratio is the ratio between the net operating income and the mortgage. So it tells me if the property is making enough money to pay the debt. So if the net operating income at the end of the year is $20,000 and the total mortgage payment at the end of the year is also $20,000, then the debt coverage ratio is equal to 1. That means that the property is making just enough money to pay the mortgage, and that's not where you want to be. So after you pay the mortgage, you want to have something left over. So ideally, you want the debt coverage ratio to be greater than 1.2, meaning that the property is making 20% more money than the mortgage payments. Now let's look at an example. Say I find a property in a great neighborhood selling for $500,000 and the taxes from the previous year were $7,920. Now it's a 3-unit building and each unit has the potential to rent for $1,800 if I make some renovations to them. Now say that the rehab will cost me $30,000. Now for this example, I'm planning on using an FHA loan, so I'm planning on putting 3.5% down. Now to get the cash flow, the cash on cash return, the cap rate, and the debt coverage ratio, I need to have a good idea of all the income from the property and all the expenses that I'll be responsible for. So let's run the numbers on this calculator that I made and see if it's a good deal or not. So this calculator has two different tabs, analysis and amortization schedule. Now the analysis tab is broken down into 4 different sections: income, expenses, cash flow, and returns. Now the amortization schedule, I downloaded that from the internet from mortgagecalculator.org, and I basically use it to get the mortgage number for the expense here. So let's fill this up and see what we get. So first we got the property price, so $500,000, and you can see that some cells automatically populate. So we only go over the ones that make sense so far. So the down payment is basically the property price times 3.5%. And then the closing cost, that's all the money and all the fees that you're gonna have to pay to close on the property. In this case, I use 2%, but for you in your area, it might be more, it might be less. So talk to a broker to see what numbers to use here. And then the mortgage number, the mortgage payment is basically pulling that from the amortization schedule based on the property price and the down payment that I use here. The scheduled income is the income that I would get if all the tenants were paying rent on time and I didn't have any vacancies. So because I'm going to be living in one of the units, I'm only getting rent from 2 units, so at $1,800 a piece, that's a total of $3,600. And then the gross income is the scheduled income by that 80% you see here, which is 80% occupancy. So I'm going to be doing a lot of work in the units, probably mine and the tenants. So I'm not expecting the building to be fully occupied all year round. So I'm expecting a lot of vacancies. So I'm being conservative and using 20% for that first year. Not getting any money for laundry, not getting any money for storage, but I have 2 parking spots, and let's say that one of them is being rented for $100 a month. Now let's plug in the expenses. So for taxes, it was $7,920 a year. Divide that by 12, that gives you $660. Now these were the taxes for the previous year. So in my numbers, I'm expecting the taxes to go up, whether they go up or not, but in my calculations, I'm acting as if they're gonna go up 5%. So multiply that by 1.05, you get $693. I'll just round that up to $700. So for insurance, it's $200, and I got that number from a broker. So I talked to an agent, and they're telling me that properties that look like mine in my area, that's how much they pay for insurance. Utilities, I put all these together because I know the tenants in Chicago usually pay for utilities except for water. So I'll be responsible for their water bill. So water in this area is $200 for a 3-unit property. We got no HOA fees, and then for lawn and snow, it snows in Chicago, so I'll put $60 a month to cover these costs. So for repairs, I'm gonna be saving 6% of the gross income. So whether I need to make repairs or not, as a good investor, I need to save money for repairs for the future. So just in case they happen, I have the money there available to take care of those issues. Management fees, so I'm not planning on hiring any property managers. I'm gonna be managing my property myself, so I'm not putting anything there. Operating expenses is the sum of everything that we just put on there. And then PMI stands for private mortgage insurance. So anytime you put less than 20% down, you're gonna have to pay insurance. So in this case, it's $200. And also I got that number from the broker. So for capital expenditure, I'm saving 7% of the gross income because sooner or later the roof, the furnace, the water heater, one of these big ticket items is gonna have to be replaced at some point. So I need to start saving money for that. And then to rehab was $30,000. Okay, so what did we get? So these numbers don't look very good. It looks like I'm losing money every year. So at first glance, you would say that's an awful deal, but remember the reason I'm house hacking is to reduce my living expenses so I could save faster to buy more properties. Now in this property is gonna be me and my girlfriend living there, so that bill that you see there, that $1,058, is gonna be split between the two of us. So I'm actually paying close to $530, which is way less than what I'm paying for rent right now. So I would say that in this case, I'll be able to save more and reduce my living expenses like I wanted to. Now, let's look at how this property will do in a year or two when we move out to go to a different property and we rent out our units. So now with all 3 units with tenants in them at $1,800 per unit, it's a total of $5,400. I'm also not expecting to have a lot of vacancies because all work is gonna be done. I'm expecting the units to be occupied most of the time. So let's just put 90% here. And let's just say that the taxes increased again, and now it's $750 a month. Okay, so the numbers are looking a lot better. So the tenants will be paying for all the expenses, and there's gonna be $615 left that'll go towards what I was already saving for the next property. So looking at this, the debt coverage ratio is greater than 1.2. The cash on cash return is greater than 10%. The cap rate is greater than 7%. So these are all good numbers. Now, also notice I didn't even include the equity that I created after making all the renovations. So would that be a deal that I put an offer on? Well, I would have to play around with the numbers and see what would happen to my cash flow and my returns. Like, what if I went over budget on my rehab? Or what if I offer less than the asking price? Or what if I can't get $1,800 in rent for all the units or for any of the units? Or what if my girlfriend left me and I couldn't find another roommate to help me pay for the mortgage? The ideal situation would be for the property to cash flow even when I'm living in it. That would greatly minimize my risks and it would speed things up even more. But those deals are really hard to find in the good neighborhoods in Chicago because everything is so darn expensive right now. So I say I consider that deal, but let me know what you would do and why. And also maybe let me know how you analyze deals and what numbers are important to you. So that's all I got for today. If you think this video was helpful, make sure you like it and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to share this video with a family or friend you think might be interested in that type of content. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.